boys and girls of the shaft? Today we're going to talk about the PG system in ARK. Procedurally generated maps. Very cool. I was going to wrap this video up last month, but I kept getting busy with other things, and frankly, trying to work out what all the settings do is a massive pain. So, let's finally get this video done! Let's start with the easiest set of controls to understand. The density controls. This is pretty simple and straightforward. The higher the number, the more you get, and the lower the fewer. Now, the grass density is a little bit misleading. You'd think that it's just grass, right? Well, no, it's not just grass. What grass density is just the harvestable objects around the island. So this includes harvestable bushes as well as harvestable rocks. Tree density simply means how many trees spawn in a given biome. Underwater objects means how many objects spawn underwater. Thrilling. Next, we'll talk about some of the bigger settings. The map seed is pretty simple. If you've created a PG map that you really like, but want to mix it up a bit, change the map seed. This is the same exact settings, but randomizes your map for different variations of the same settings. Landscape radius is just how big or how small your island will be. Erosion iterations is how much detail the landscape has. This can be thought of as sort of a vertical detail control. Higher numbers is more detail and lower is less. Terrain scale multiplier is a way to, well, scale your map on the X, Y, or Z axis. Or axes, whatever. I generally wouldn't touch this. It might be useful in some rare situations, but just don't touch it. Let's talk about frequency and turbulence power. Water frequency affects how much variation you'll get in the terrain height. Higher numbers will give you islands, and lower numbers will give you a flat landscape with nearly no variance. Mountain frequency works the same. How much variance will your mountains have? Will you have soft, rolling hills? Or will you have big, manly mountains that jut way out of the landscape? Mountain height is simply the overall height of your mountains. And mountain slope is how hard the transition will be from land to mountain. The higher the value, the smoother the transition from the regular ground level to the mountain, and the lower the number, the more steep it is. Turbulence power! This has got to be the most confusing setting you will see here, and it took me hours to work out how this works, but I think I got it. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got it. You know, anecdotal evidence and all that. It works for me, so it should work for you. So go ahead and imagine this image as your map. Black means go down, and white means go up. If turbulence means how much contrast you have here, so basically the whites being whiter and the blacks being blacker, then turbulence power is detail. It's like having another layer of this noise over top the big blotches to give you more detail. You may want to leave this at a somewhat low number because higher numbers will make it difficult to play on the map since there's no flat land left. It's just a bunch of bumps all over the place. Let's go back to something easier to understand. Water level and ocean floor level. Water level is how low or how high the water is compared to the island. Higher numbers will flood your island, and lower numbers will give you more shallow water. Ocean floor level is how low the ocean floor is compared to the main island. This allows you to have a super deep ocean or no ocean at all. These two controls work together. If your ocean floor is set to -1, for example, then your water level can be from -1 and higher. -1 being all the way down to the floor. Now let's talk about how the water interacts and transitions with your island. Shore slope is pretty straightforward. This is how quickly the beach transitions into the deep ocean. 2 means super smooth, going from shallow water to deep ocean. And 0 means super hard drop off like a cliff or a promontory. You like that $10 vocab word? Look it up. Shoreline start offset and shoreline thickness are commands dependent on each other. Shoreline thickness controls how wide the shoreline is, basically rising the entire island higher, while shoreline start offset smooths the shoreline out. Higher numbers with the offset control give you a stronger smoothing effect, and higher numbers with the thickness mean more width or height. So, since I recorded this video, there was an update released that changed just a few small things. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover that right now. Starting with a slightly altered erosion settings. Just like erosion iterations, erosion steps is the detail control. As you would imagine, higher numbers are more detail and lower numbers are less detail. Erosion strength is new, so now you have your detail control, but now you also have a strength control. Higher numbers will do what you expect, increase the strength of the erosion, and really push that erosion in. Deposition strength. This one is hard to understand. It's this detail you can see at the base of mountains and stuff. Something to do with erosion and debris falling to the bottom of moving water or something. Don't worry about this. It's not really worth touching. Trees slope threshold. It's how smooth the terrain needs to be for trees to spawn. Lower numbers mean trees will spawn just about anywhere, and higher numbers mean you need really flat ground for the trees to spawn in. While I'm here, I'll also briefly touch on the biome settings. Biome size controls work as a sort of percentage from 0 to 1. This is how large your biome will be compared to the rest of the island. The biome start and depth controls are at what height or depth does the given biome start. Take mountains for example. A lower number will mean mountains will start to spawn at a lower altitude. Well, a higher number means you won't see any mountains spawning in until you reach a higher altitude. Somebody made a fine graphic demonstrating how this whole thing works. Visually. Wonderful. Visually. So I'll link that in the description. You can take a look for yourself. I can explain it verbally, but it's a lot easier if you can see it. Well, that's all I got for today. So, in one of my last videos, I got this dork leaving a comment like, your outros are way too long. Okay, dork, so here's what I'm gonna do. We'll do this quicker then. And hey, if you're new here, why don't you go ahead and check out some of the other videos on this channel? I have no doubt in my mind that if you look around on the channel, you too will become a loyal citizen of the Shaft. Also, go ahead and look at the bottom of the description. There's some pretty hot links for you to click. Join our server. You can join our server and play with us right now. Wow. Check out our Discord. Chat with us. We're the cool kids. Come chat with the cool kids. Yeah, wow, ooh. And check out our Patreon today. If you got a few dollars laying around, go ahead and donate. Become a patron of the Shaft. Every dollar goes towards making a better experience for you. Amazing. Ooh. Until next time.